It's like American politics, like presidential elections, like the craziest fucking theater.
The theatrics.
Yeah,
The theatrics. The unintentional theatrics.
Sometimes I just feel like how much. It's like it's. I mean, it suits American spirit, though. You know what I mean?
Bro, I don't even know. To me, it's just us, bro. To me, it's just us.
No, it's like it's the biggest show in the world right now, and it's like with real stakes, with real like ambitious people trying to get like to the top.
Yeah, the most powerful country in the world.
Yeah, it's also like very like I don't know. It just suits America a lot. I feel, you know what I mean? From the perspective of it, just like captures the spirit. It's like there's no other election in the world that's so captivating.
The drama, bro.
Yeah. So, I guess we can start. Like,
so yeah, should we just say fucking start with that?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's just.
I'll just start off. I'll repeat what I just told you about my perception.
Yeah.
Of his state.
Yeah. You mean Biden, right? Yeah, I mean, you can just start with describing your perception, I guess. That's... Yeah.
And then just go from there.
Yeah.
'Cause now, I mean, it looks very likely to be Kamala.
Yeah.
I think they'll rally around her.
Yeah. But I mean, it's... I mean, also it's interesting who she chooses as a VP and...
Yeah,
just how it goes from there. And I mean, the most interesting question, I would say the most interesting question, what happens afterwards, like who is going to really accept the elections, because the whole drama.
Are you talking about after 2020? Yeah, all right. Let's save some of this.
No, of course.
Let's save some of this.
Yeah,
because these are juicy questions. Because Vance is an election denier too. So let's. You about ready, or do you want to?
No, I mean, we can just like, play with this. I mean, because for me, it's like the most interesting. I mean, obviously now, like the stakes are so high for both parties, like so high that I don't think anyone wants to accept like those elections now. You know what I mean? In a way.
I mean, I would like to think that Democrats are going to pull a Trump. Yeah. I mean, they're going to ring the alarm, but I mean, like what he did in 2020, I don't see that. I mean, I remember seeing people who try to compare what Trump did in 2020 to what some Democrats said about the Russian interference in 2016, but it wasn't the same.
No,
the party wasn't unified, and it wasn't. But I think it's supposed to be scary from the Republican side, because it's like, you look at Pence, right? So this to a few people. It's like, I don't think there's one thing I agree with Mike Pence on.
Yeah.
I really don't like Mike Pence, but he at least had the integrity when Trump asked him not to certify the election.
Yeah.
To certify it.
Yeah.
Now, it's Vance who he's like openly like, I believe the election was stolen from Trump. Like, not even talking around it, not ducking the question like a lot of these Republicans. No, like he's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, very plausible that if Trump were to lose again, that he'd pull the card. Because he still hasn't given up talking about how 2020 was rigged. Like, that is very, very concerning. Very concerning. And then, if he wins, because now the 2-term limit is in the Constitution, it wasn't always. So I don't know how he would go about dealing with that, if he would just groom somebody or try to buck that. But I mean, it's the Democrats definitely painted as existential for our democracy election, but some people would be like, "Oh, you're drinking the Democrat Kool-Aid." But I mean, I think you look at the facts. I think it could be for what's left of our democracy, because it's not a true democracy. All these ways, from the electoral college to the voting, the barriers to voting for certain poor and brown and black people, but. It's a democracy as much as...
It's still real competition, though.
Exactly. That's comparatively to most, pretty much every other place in the world, even if it has significant flaws.
Yeah.
So...
Which also makes it so entertaining, because, it's... you can say anything about, like, American system, how flawed it is, but, I mean, it's still, like, very competitive election, You can see no one can say, it's... Those elites, they went to like a back room and just like decided. No, I mean that's like super competitive.
Yeah, the final elections, the DNC did some fuck shit like with Bernie and the super delegates, which is why they changed how that was structured. I think they have less weight now. But like the elites did not want him winning in 2016 or 2020, but 2016 he came closer. So they kind of fucked with him.
Yeah.
So you have to, but I get your overall point. That who becomes president is not directly made in a backroom deal.
No. It's like 100%. There's something there. It's something it's like a real competition, right?
Yeah, but we're at the point where, I mean, bro, like, I'll Google it, bro. The amount of Republicans who think 2020 was rigged, it's like, I want to say like over 60.
Oh, wow.
Republicans percentage, I think 2020 was rigged.
I mean, that's... and this is why I wanted to ask you, right, about the whole...
69% of Republicans and Republican leaners say it was not legitimate. This is from 2023 CNN poll. But, bro, let's say it's fucking 40.
Yeah.
What the fuck? 33? 1 in 3?
Yeah. It's still a lot.
And I mean, it's pretty clear because Trump obviously is of a lot of support and he's open that it got stolen. So...
Yeah. Do you think it's... do you, like, feel the historical moment?
I do, definitely. I feel like some people... Actually, no, because with the assassination and everything, I think a lot of people are aware. Because what I was going to say is I think there are some people who are kind of sleepwalking into this.
Yeah.
Like, there are people, you know, I got a few friends, one in particular, where it's like, I can tell he kind of sees them as equals. Which is what Lambert specifically was ramming against on the last class, which I think he's right about. It's like, dude, this shit is not normal.
Yeah.
Denying an election you clearly lost in the U.S., fucking having a vice president who is against abortion in case of rape.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like so it's like this shit is serious. The Voting Rights Act is already partly dismantled. I think for around a decade it has been because a part of the Voting Rights Act is that the federal government has a right to survey states with historic instances of race discrimination, so like especially the South, and like look at how they're gerrymandering things, and they got that power removed through the Supreme Court. So like now the Southern states have a little more leeway to, you know, put all the blacks in one district, dilute their voting power. So I mean, but personally, yeah, no shit, bro. Nothing is inevitable. Because I think that's the other thing that people think, and I totally disagree. Like, oh, we're fucked. Oh, this is gonna definitely happen. But like, I see parallels between the early 1930s and now.
In the U.S.
Yeah, I think you could also say in the world because you have Marine Le Pen in France. They held the line for now, but they're not going nowhere. The National Rally. Yeah. RFD is fucking out here. Yeah. Nigel Farage doesn't have a huge amount of support, but more than he's ever had. Italy, you know, that woman she's moderated her foreign policy, Meloni, but like the reporters in Italy are complaining about being like censored based on not being able to like they're the fascists. I feel like are making a comeback. People with fascist tendencies, because I know like that's a word that gets thrown around. Yeah, fascism, genocide. Yeah, but like Trump. I see fascist inclinations. Yeah. With his authoritarian lean, of course, and like with the 2025 shit, wanting to remove all these civil servants, like change their classification so he can fire them. Of course, he's like, oh, I'm draining the swamp. But really, what it's really about is people who are personally loyal to him. Yeah. But then also, like my understanding of one aspect of fascism is like you see the nation as one unitary body. Yeah. And if a group doesn't fit in your definition, they're not entitled to the protections of citizenship that they should be. So, like, you know, Nazi Germany, okay, you're Jewish, you're black, you're disabled.
What happens in Russia, right? I mean, this is, like, pretty much...
Okay. Yeah, you see it in Russia, those are clear fascist leanings. Yeah. I don't know if I'd say the government has become fascist. I don't think I'd say that. Because he needs too much depoliticization to stay in power. Yeah. But... you see it there.
But you definitely see it there with the type of ideal citizen that they try to portray. And everyone who doesn't fit this category, everyone who has like a different opinion, that's not ideal. That's not our like person.
Exactly. And Trump is, you know, referring to illegal immigrants as vermin. They're corrupting the blood of our nation. Like, yeah, you do have people of color in the Republican Party, like Tim Scott, I think, South Carolina Senator. Vivek, you know, his crazy ass Indian. Yeah. But I mean, like, substantially, if you look at their policies, it's you see hints of it.
Yeah,
you see hints of biggest deportation program in history is what he says.
Yeah,
So this is definitely like significant historical events.
momentum. Yeah,
and I think that was another good point Lambert made about how Trump was restrained in many ways during his first presidency. Yeah. He's gonna be less restrained at the very least now.
You mean especially with this program 2025? Or if he wins, he will have like the full capacity to do.
I mean, like there's like specific instances, right? Like one I remember in particular. Do you know the Mueller report? It was about the Russia interference.
Yeah.
And it did not claim a wrongdoing. It didn't press charges on him. Yeah. But it mentions at one point how there was not too much interference in the investigation, but only because certain people, like chief of staffs, like he had a bunch of different people, because if you don't agree with him, he tells you to fuck off. But like something Rebus, these few other people, basically like he wanted to fire certain people in the State Department and this and that, but they didn't do it because it would be political suicide or crazy. Mm-hmm. Lambert mentioned one where he wanted people to fire at the protesters. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. So like people holding them, and even again Pence, in a very, maybe not in a huge way, but in one significant way with the election, where again Vance, he's with that denial shit. And then also, I also think Lambert's a good teacher. He brings up important points. Another thing he said, and it's true, the party is his now. 12 of the Republicans that voted for his second impeachment for January 6th. Okay. Only 2 remain. And then his daughter-in-law is the co-chair of the RNC. And then I believe his son, Donald Trump Jr., is a major player in the party now. Broker, like, I couldn't explain to you the causal mechanisms. I read this in the Times. I know that makes a difference to you. But, like, basically they were saying he was, like, the main driver between Vance. Get him in there. Like, he has Trump's ear. And, when he came in, like, McConnell, Graham, like, what did Graham say? If we nominate Trump, we'll get destroyed and we'll deserve it. Uh-huh. And then he bent the knee, and again, Lambert said, "These motherfuckers, they make a decision. Yeah. Do I want to stand for some principles, or do I want power? Yeah. Do I want power? Because he disrespected a lot of these people, like him, including Musk. Yeah. As soon as he came begging to me for subsidies and this and that, and now Trump's endorsing him. But the party is behind him, and I think he's better prepared this time. His staff, I think, is more radical.
No, I mean, one thing, I think Lauer has made something he said along the lines that, I mean, he became like a very strategic politician.
He's become more so. He's become more. I wouldn't say he's become very strategic, but compared to 2016, for sure. Like with the abortion thing, he dances around it a little bit now.
And he also, even the way he speaks, the way he gives speeches is way much more. I mean, of course, but like when he became president, I mean, there's also, like, we discussed in the class, it's like, no one expected this shit,
he didn't expect it. And also, like, with the January 26th thing, or January 6th on the debate, he tried to blame it on Pelosi. Yeah. Like, and they were like, oh, you said you take retribution. What do you mean by that? Because, of course, it's violent connotations, vindictive. And then he ducks it, like, he's become a more skilled politician comparatively. Yeah. Because this is the other thing, he wasn't a very effective politician, I would say, in his first term. Because he had the Jobs and Something Act, which that was like corporate tax cuts. Yeah. And then he appointed Supreme Court justices, but that's kind of just like, you pick them. Yeah. Like, unless they did some batshit crazy shit, like, you're probably going to get through. I mean, that shit's even more politicized now. Like, they get grilled in the hearing, but, like, it's pretty rare for a justice not to get confirmed, except when Obama, tried to put in, what was it, I forget his name. Garland. Mm-hmm. And McConnell was like, it's the last year of your term, you're a lame duck president, nah. And then, of course, when it was Trump, they let it slide through. Yeah. So it's, but Trump, the party is his, bro. Yeah. Like, he single-handedly, like, if he endorses your opponent in a Republican primary, very high chance you're going to lose. Like, he's done it. Yeah. So,
But it's also like interesting because I mean I do not follow like American politics that closely.
Okay.
So I get like just snippets of information that I just follow like different people or whatever podcasters, and you always have like the snippets for me because I just stopped using like regular news resources just because like all main news that I read is just like it comes to me anyway, and most of the time I just like very dissatisfied with the bias that any source provides, especially like Western sources, like CNN.
CNN, I don't really like to. I don't like
Even New York Times. It's just, they all have like a very biased.
I feel like every news source has its biases and its blind spots.
Yeah,
but some are better than others, and you got to kind of put on like your critical.
Of course, yeah.
Because like the Times, like the way they completely flipped on Biden, I was like, and then their lack of full contextualization about what's happening in Gaza. They cover like the settler violence in the West Bank, but like the history, like I wish they would do more, but like I think they do a lot of good report. Like that article I mentioned to you about Biden, like in his Delaware whatever cottage house, and him like if you think it's bullshit, you think it's bullshit, but his insight on how he's feeling, the betrayal, what he's going through. I'm like, this is good fucking reporting to me.
I think you have a good source. So
I guess like, maybe Lamb, because maybe you peeps when I brought up the Times to him, he was like he kind of stopped listening when I was talking about the news holding Trump and them accountable. Like they be on some bullshit, but you find good shit in there. I have a New York Times subscription, but only because it's $4 to me because I'm a student. I got like a post deal after I graduated. Yeah, and then NPR I like, and then I like NPR. Deutsche Welle. Okay, but yeah, NPR is American, and then I like Deutsche Welle. DW, you see them on the subway.
Yeah, of course I do. But this is just I don't know my whole conception of media. I mean, of course, like this kind of media changed so much. I used to follow like closely. I used to read New York Times, like The Economist, all those major outlets.
Is nice, but so expensive.
I know, but it's like after a while, I just realized what I got frustration. It's like I can understand. I don't need to read the article to see the point. It's like there's such a bias. They just look at like every news event from this kind of biased perspective, and I realized, I mean, it's not something I'm interested in if I want to be kind of critical or critical thinker. Because it's like everything that they give to me, and especially it was also obvious in the Ukraine when like they kind of like it's like a one-dimensional picture that they give to you. But I mean, it happened to me before Ukraine, so to speak. And now it's like, for me, it's interesting that, whatever like news you get, it's like, it's very polarized, like obviously, right? So you have like this, because I wanted to ask you, a lot of people like bring this question of like just like very hard tension in American society, almost like kind of like a civil war vibes, like,
Did you ask me this already, I think?
I mean, I ask you in like, just like in a private conversation, obviously.
I think like, I guess like nothing is impossible. Like in that way, like I won't rule it out. But I think I said this to you when you asked, because you did ask me this before. Yeah. What I'm way more concerned about is like an illiberal democracy like a Hungary, where you have elections and on the outside it's like, oh, I guess that kind of looks like democracy, but then you open the hood and it's like a small group of dudes own all the media groups, which actually is becoming more and more true in the US. And but they have these direct connections to the Orban. So he, you give me good coverage, I give you this contract, this government contract at a discount. Fuck what's good for the people. We all make money, I get power. This open, discrimination towards gays or LGBTQ community and so on. And then in the US context it would be more racialized because Hungary doesn't. But like that's like again, like with the Voting Rights Act getting hollowed out, like that is democratic backsliding. That is a step towards what I'm talking about. So that to me, I am, and these Republicans, including on the grassroots level, who are like true election deniers. So if it doesn't go how they want, they'll say fuck that, and then all the implications again, like abortion right is already fucked in the U.S. and a lot of states. In my home state, it's 8 weeks. In reality, a lot of women don't know they're pregnant by a week, so it's basically an abortion ban. And also, you have the criminalization of it in a lot of states. So like, bro, you can read straight horror stories, bro. A woman who's afraid she's having a miscarriage goes to the hospital. They tell her, we can't take you. No. Kid fucking dies. She goes in the bathroom and, she dies as well. Because the thing is, I guess my for person, I think it is. I know that's what it is for an abortion, but I think my point is and I didn't know this until I took a class in college. This is shit, they should be teaching everybody, but that's the patriarchy. Is like the medication to treat a miscarriage is very similar, if not the same, in a lot of cases to what you do to induce an abortion. So like technically, legally, you could get fucked in a state like Texas, South Carolina, where like they are on your ass. Yeah. And like these are, at least to me, basic human rights. And I'm not a religious person, so if you're coming at me with that, like, life starts at consumption. But also, I can't take those people seriously when it's like, okay, you care about the life, but then you're not gonna, give more child tax credits. Yeah. You're not gonna, subsidize childcare, especially in the U.S. compared to Germany, for example. Like, you're gonna tell me you care about the life, but once the kid's out there, you're not gonna take steps that we could take. If we had the political will and priority once they're alive. Like, it tells me you're not saying it because you care about the life. You're doing it for, whether it's appeal to your voters or you're just a misogynist. But like that whole... like, I can't. Yeah.
I mean, do you think like the whole Trump idea is just a pitch to like this white America, or it's like there is more to that, or it's like the whole like, I would say like his conception of the U.S. is just something like a white America, or there's something more to that, so to speak.
Okay. I think like at the core, because again, like with the hate against like illegal immigrants and so on, corrupting the blood of the nation. He's had white nationals, like Steve Bannon.
Of course,
yeah. Like he was at the beginning with the chief of staff. Of the administration. I think. I think, bro, and then of course, like when he said there's bad people on both sides at Charlottesville, of course, like his structural racism is not even on the radar. Like Biden, I wish he would do way more. And he voted for the 1994 crime bill when he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Oh my God, the fucking arrogance. Yeah. But compared to Trump, like Trump is more overtly catering to those people. But at the same time, I'd say like at the margins, like I don't know if you've seen the rallies, they have fucking these local rappers come on. Like in the Bronx, they had these group of like two rappers I don't even know. Like I don't think they're not big. Yeah. But and then Amber fucking Rose. But it says a lot about how they think, how the party in Trump and the party views black people, because it's like these rappers who like don't even really have any political ideology or agenda, but they think, the blacks will love it when I show the guy with the chains on and the tattoos. Yeah. Like they'll love this. Or even I remember one comment where he's like, blacks love me because they see that I'm also being unjustly persecuted. Yeah. Like, oh my fucking God. And it's one of the many things, bro, that sadly in all these decades hasn't changed much. I don't know if you've ever seen a clip of Malcolm X where he's like, where do you see for the white community them bringing on entertainers, athletes? There have been athletes who endorse candidates, but bringing them on the stage. Yeah. I mean, it's not nearly to the same degree. And he's like, when you have these jazz players or baseball players come up and endorse the Democrats, these are pawns. Yeah. They're pawns. They are. Amber Rose, fucking these rappers who had names, I don't know, a few other people. Bro, they don't know shit about politics, bro. I put money on, ask them about almost any policy issue, and they'll start spewing bullshit or just they'll look stupid. So he's catering, because I've seen that, like, comparatively, like, some blacks and Hispanics are going to Trump. Yeah. Or at least they're leaving Biden. So, like, in that way, but I guess my point is, it's not substantial. Yeah. In terms of, like, there's no substance in how he's catering to these people. But it shows how shallow-minded. It shows what he thinks of us. You mean when he thinks that bringing on some rapper with some bling and all that is going to catalyze black voters. Yeah. So I would say at the core, it is about like this white America, but he's using some pawns here and there to work at the margins.
Yeah, because for me the question is interesting. I mean, it's kind of getting obvious that the US is moving into direction that it's like obviously non-white. from all perspective, like from
there's a statistic, and I mean, of course they could be wrong, but the general idea says something. Is like it's projected by 2030 whites will be a minority.
Yeah, and I mean, in this sense, like maybe your comment regarding kind of like having a liberal democracy is interesting because if anything, like this is like can be the project because if they're really worried about that, if they're really worried about the US turning into a non-white country and what can like really trying to preserve it as white, that's interesting. And also that's interesting in relation to kind of like this tension and the conflict that is there.
I think that's absolutely what's going on within a lot of the Republican Party. I think that sentiment is prevalent throughout the U.S. Because like you've heard about the white replacement theory.
No, I mean
it goes by different names. It's fucking here too, bro. Yeah. It's scary. The idea that political elites are intentionally allowing immigrants into the country because immigrants will always vote progressive. Like let's stick to U.S. context.
Okay,
they'll vote Democrat, and also to commit a genocide of the. This is what they mean.
Yeah.
Through racial mixing. Yeah. And like Tucker Carlson has like openly talked about this shit. He was the most watched man in America on Fox News up until he got fired.
But then it's like so interesting, man, because then you have like this conflict that goes into this kind of racial domain that is not really. You cannot really solve this because it's like two groups of like hate each other. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? What brown and black people and white people?
It's just basically white Americans. Like versus non-white Americans, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how a lot of them feel. You don't want to generalize all minorities because, like I brought up in class one time, like some Cubans, Venezuelans are more receptive to the Republican Party because a lot of Hispanics in general, but especially them because it's like some of them have more social or conservative social values, and then also, the Republicans still use the messaging of the far left agenda, socialism. Is that even communism going on with Bernie, AOC? You want that? And people who come from Cuba, from Venezuela, that resonates. Regardless of how you view the situation, because there's people who's like I don't like Cuba. For me, it's like I fucked maybe with what Castro did in terms of getting rid of Batista because he was like a capitalist shill before. But I mean, bro, I think you became what you wanted to destroy. I mean, you can't even criticize the government in a song. At the same time, the U.S. has sanctions on them that like totally fucks up their economy. I think it's inhumane. So like I'm just saying because that's like a whole way. Because we'll see if you talk to like more progressive people, they're like, actually Maduro this and this, or well, it's really not Castro's fault or whatever. But regardless, like that's receptive.
Yeah.
But broadly, yeah, I mean. This idea, like, like W.E.B. Du Bois?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, like, he had this idea that, like, the U.S. has a divided proletariat, a white one, because he was a Marxist, a black one.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot true, because he was like, what they do is they give the whites a psychological wage, which I don't think Trump is thinking it through on an intellectual level like this, but in practice is what he does, where it's like, if you look at his policies, let's talk about, like, his base, rural, white, poor, less educated people, normally poor. What do his policies do for them? Like specifically the material standard of living. Maybe you could argue these tariffs on China that he's talking about will like because the idea is like protect our industrial base. Not economists, but we're just talking. I'm sympathetic to that to an extent. Like these tariffs. I mean, the Biden is also on it too. I think so they gave different levels on it, but it's like okay, but also a lot of these jobs are already gone.
Yeah.
They're gonna come back, or are they just gonna go like are they really coming like the specific industries that were lost? And then like again, cutting the corporate tax. Like I don't know, maybe you have a different economic ideology than me, but to me, that's trickle down economics. That shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, like materially, I don't think he's doing anything for them. But let's say he talks to them like, yeah, I'm protecting you from these rapists, these vermin that they're coming from the book. Because immigration is like right up there. The shit he talks about, that's like urban crime, immigration, removing the corrupt elites, fuck China with the terrorists. Like that, immigration is up there. And, he's appealing to their sense of whiteness. Their place, their social hierarchy in society. Like you can define yourself by knowing that, like it's like have you ever heard the quote from Lyndon Johnson? And this is the dude who to the war on poverty and passed the Civil Rights Act. He was like, as long as you can convince the lowest white man that he's above the Negro, he won't even notice when you're picking his pocket. As a matter of fact, he'll empty his pockets for you.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that idea is very still true up until now. He's not doing anything with them, but he's appealing to their, their racial sense of self. So I mean, that shit is very, very significant.
But then it's just so interesting where the whole thing is kind of going to, because if you have like this, as we see now, I guess it's almost like a fact, right? That like Republicans moving into this Trumpism direction, if you can call it this way.
The party moving towards Trump?
Yeah.
Like I said, bro, I think it's his party.
Yeah. So it's like the tension is, again, it's like what's interesting, that the tension is only growing, right? It doesn't really, also what people call polarization, obviously. And just like this kind of like a growing tension, right? Because like whenever I get information, it's really just like, they trying to prevent Trump from winning. It's kind of very type of Republican vibes, white vibes, like maybe you get it from
the deep state.
Yeah, we mainly get it from white podcasters. Like, not gonna lie, like
they're trying to stop Trump from winning.
Kind of like
but
this.
Who's they? Like, are they referencing are you talking about the Democrats, the media, and everybody?
I just like all this like type of intellectual vibe that like they trying to like elites, like Democratic elites.
Everyone's plotting against Trump. Everyone.
Yeah.
And Trump is pushing through it. Yeah, that's the narrative. I'm the victim. Like, I'm the victim. I'm going to drain the swamp. Yeah. Even though this motherfucker grew up privileged as hell. Lambert brought it up. I just don't know, because I know sometimes you weren't there. He was tight with the Clintons. He was an open Democrat.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even, because of course, like, Trump is like very well known in the U.S. even before he ran. Like, everyone knows who he is. And like, I kind of caught me off guard. He's running with the Republicans? Oh, okay. And then he came down the escalator and talked about the immigrants are rapists, and that was kind of clear where he was going.
Yeah.
But like he political outsider, yes, in a way. In a way, because again, if you're tight with the fucking Clintons, because he was, but then now he's not. At least he's not nearly the outsider he was, because again, the party's his, bro.
Yeah.
The party's his. And now what you think is, like, I think that's pretty clearly a fact. What you think is going to happen after, I mean, even, just to like actually expand before I go to the next thing, is like Mitt Romney, lost to Obama. Like, and I don't fucking like Mitt Romney, but these are the motherfuckers who are the voice of reason in the party now. He's like, and I think he's not running after his term, and maybe he's already done, but he's like, I don't recognize this party anymore.
Yeah.
And I get I don't hate him as much as Pence, but like Romney, bro, like, I don't know what I would see eye to eye with him on. I guess besides maybe to an extent commitment to democracy, but like this guy is like an OG who sees it. McCain didn't want Trump at his funeral. McCain he also ran against Obama and lost. But then I think it's undisputable. It's his party. The question is, what's going to happen after, especially like if they win, the train will just keep rolling for another 4 years. But if he loses, is his party going to run with him again? Because he's old as hell. But then also it's like, what's the identity of the party after him? I would agree. I'm someone, you see other people say this, where I think it now has outgrown him to an extent as well. Like a Vance, people who will try to take up the mantle. I mean, they won't have his communication abilities, but like he's definitely started some shit. But yeah, this idea that he's an outsider, it's bullshit. At this point, it's bullshit. And even the beginning, he was never really about ending corruption. It was about just, I want people around me who tell me what I want to hear.
The one thing I get a little bit pushed back, and like for me as like growing up in Russia, seeing Trump winning was actually like a sign of real democracy in a way. Like in the
because the elites definitely didn't want this.
But also because like I don't want to call him like, have to use like outsider quote unquote, but something that was completely impossible, like from perspective of American politics. Someone who like was never a politician, like kind of like basically shot for the stars, like like biggest position in politics, and winning,
and their party
against like kind of candidate that was like way much more better, like from all perspectives. Like,
way well known. And the Republican Party, like I said, didn't even want him at the beginning, but because of our open primary system,
like
this can never happen in Germany.
Yeah, I mean, they still like Democrats won the open, like the voters, right? They still won like
the
won
popular,
the popular vote. It's another story.
But what I would say is that I don't see a contradiction between what you just said and I did. Like, I can understand you're seeing that because it's like, again, like the elites definitely didn't want this. Yeah. I mean, some people would disagree with you, but like, just I'll go along with the point. But I think it can be true that the elites didn't want this, but at the same time, he's not really about getting rid of corruption. And
yeah, I understand this. Right, that's
So I would just say that I don't see the contradiction, but it's
just not a contradiction. It's just kind of like from my perspective, there was kind of big event that, I mean, obviously it changed like American politics, right? And that's what we experience now. We had like pivotal elections in 2020.
Yeah,
now we have like another pivotal elections, and. Yeah, I mean, like, dude, I'm just very curious where it is going. I mean, I'm obviously missing like the whole perspective of the American side, because like the more like I study American, right? America is like as a country, like, dude, it's like this country is complicated as hell. To be honest, it's not like people have like this conception that the U.S. is kind of like a simple country. It's not. It's really
I don't know
complicated.
which country really is simple. Unless maybe you're talking about like small.
I mean, just the amount of power, influence, money, like everything, like cultural, and also culturally very complicated foundation story.
And then we have the federalism.
Yeah, so federalism.
That's a whole other aspect in itself. You mean there's significantly different laws.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are, in a variety of ways. So, yeah.
And because I mean, I feel most people when they hear about the U.S. and U.S. politics, because they can miss this. They don't really have like this type of analysis. They don't have an analytical perspective.
Yeah, they didn't study politics. Yeah.
But they all like the problem is they all have opinions about the U.S. because it's easy to have an opinion about the U.S.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Russians, you ask any Russian, like, they fucking gonna fail. They're gonna have revolution. This is like, I mean, this is kind of like type of. Probably Putin feverish dreams, like, when
the U.S. revolution. That's what the leader of the Heritage Foundation. They said it'll be another 1776, and as long as the far left doesn't try to stop us, it'll be bloodless.
Oh,
this is actually, we kind of got off switch topic, but I just think it's important to know because I don't think a lot of people realize this, so they're kind of like, There are empirical studies, bro, and just at least in the U.S. context, immigrants, including illegals, are less likely to commit crime. If you look at the rates of immigration and the crime rates, there's no correlation of anything. Like if you look at the graph for yourself, it's like broadly like a decline between the crime and the immigration rate. Yeah. And then also if you think through the causal mechanisms, like most of these people are very vulnerable people who travel through like these extremely dangerous treks. They have to go through the cartel, get exploited like a motherfucker to come here.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, because going back to Trump, immigration's top, like at the top of his thing. What he's saying is bullshit. This goes back to just his line thing. It's not true that they're bringing all this crime. It's not true at all. So it's.
I mean, it's obviously not something that is like factual, but something that he tries to build on to.
It resonates. That's why it's like what it's like is. Do you know about the Willie Horton ad?
Yeah.
It's like very, very short. This is from, this is like in 89. This is George Bush Sr. running against, was it Dukakis was the Democrat? And it was this guy who got off, I forget the word. I forget how to speak English. Basically, they let him out of prison. I think he was in jail for murder. Murder? He let him out for the weekend, like, because that was his system. I think this is Massachusetts, because it was Dukakis' home state. And this was like, it was seen as very full. This is only 33 seconds. This is 1988.
Crime. Bush and Dukakis on crime. Bush supports the death penalty for first-degree murderers. Dukakis not only opposes the death penalty, he allowed first-degree murderers to have weekend passes from prison. One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times. Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend. Weekend prison passes. Dukakis on crime.
Right, so of course they have to pick the black motherfucker, right? Because it's the thing, like, I don't know if you saw, and it wasn't just at the DNC.
Yeah.
He's done it on multiple occasions, but they'll bring out these cases, or they'll bring out, like, the families of, you know, let's say a daughter who was murdered by an illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
There's 45 million immigrants in the U.S.
Yeah.
I could take any kind of person. Like, being an asshole is an equal opportunity thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, anecdotally, like, that's why, you know, sometimes you criticize an argument when it's just anecdotal.
Yeah.
Like, this is not empirically backed, but they play on your fear.
Yeah.
They play on your fear. And then there's a racialized aspect to it because that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
So, like, I show you that ad because I would say it's the same thinking behind it.
Yeah.
It's the soft on crime thing as well, because he talks about urban crime a lot. And when you think of urban crime, would they think about brown and black people in the ghettos?
Yeah.
Shooting, robbing, raping. He's not even speaking to the people who experience that violence the most, because most violence is done to the people who live in your proximity.
Yeah.
And in the segregated cities that we have, you'll see it if you... Well, you probably won't want to go to rough areas where it's really noticeable, but like the U.S. is still the cities are still very segregated.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I heard.
So he's not even talking to the people who go through it. He's talking to the suburbs,
Yeah.
and he's talking to, you know, rural white America. So it's not even about fucking improving people's lives. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about playing off racial fears to
Yeah.
get votes and get power.
Yeah.
That's the U.S., bro. I mean, you see it actually here too. Because I was actually going back to white replacement theory. You see it here too. Like Orban, I saw a clip talking about Germany. He's like, you go to Germany, it doesn't smell like Germany anymore. It doesn't look like Germany. You know, it's completely different. Now, he doesn't say because in 2015 they allowed over 1 million Arabs and so on.
Yeah.
But if you have a couple brain cells, you read between the lines and see.
Yeah. But then it's more difficult because like Germany, like eventually Germany, and I can feel it like living in Germany for 6 years. Like Germany was never designed as a country for immigrants. Literally.
But
like,
I would say...
I mean, no, it was a closed monolithic ethnic identity. And then of course, like, you know, things changed, the world has changed. But like the US has always been the country that, we're all about migration.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't... Because I want to say two things. First off, I don't know about enough about German history. But is that really
I can
true?
tell you that. I feel more American than German living here. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, that leads to my second thing, but it's still with the first thing. I don't know. Is it true that they've always been monolithic? Like, maybe not widespread blacks and Arabs, but immigration in general?
I mean, most European countries have been ethno-monolithic, right? It's not just Germany thing. But I feel like Germans, because they never had like colonies, you know, it's not like
They didn't have as many.
Yeah, but they were never experienced with this idea that people just coming to them and from other places in the world and just like living with them.
I can't push on that because I want to disagree with you, but I don't have the facts, so I'm not going to argue with you.
It's just from my personal experience. I mean, you know, it's just you can feel it. The more you live here, the more it's like country is just like not designed. It's like the whole cultural identity and cultural thing that is on top of the society that it connects people. It really kind of like tries to benefit from this idea of, you're German, you speak German. Good, let's speak German and let's have some fun together. If you're German, if you're not German, it's just like, they just like having and it's like they try to force themselves into it. But it doesn't work. Because
I feel like it's almost a myth that they buy it. But again, I can't say too much. But the second thing, I would agree that this is not a particularly welcoming country for immigrants. But
they try hard, you know. Like, they try hard to be that country.
I feel like some in this country do, but I think a lot push back on it. I think that's part of the reason you see the IFD. Like, I think like a shows, and also their reasoning, because you probably know, like, they're lacking skilled labor.
Yeah, of course.
And also
they have to.
Their population growth is, like, stagnant.
Yeah.
Like native, so they also need it from that perspective. Yeah. So like they need it, but I think a lot of it is just like they're just a lot of them aren't particularly open people. But I think that's a fuck up on their part. I think they should just be more open. I understand it maybe not. Yeah. It won't happen. It's not so simple to make that happen in reality. But like, be open minded to other cultures and ideas. Like, you know, because you're so civilized. I mean, I guess in a way they're better about certain things, but some ideas are still deeply ingrained because it's like, you know, they don't get taught anything about their colonial history. Like the genocide of the Herero in what is now Namibia, they don't get taught about it in school, bro.
Yeah.
They get taught about the genocide, but like, because the thing is that's important and remember is like this racial classification that culminated in this like the Slavs are beneath us, the Jews. A lot of that shit started with their classification of, Africans and the global South. But so I'm just saying, I think that's just a fuck up and an arrogance on their part.
Yeah.
Because I hate, here in the U.S., and those are countries. Oh, and it's like, yeah, I'd rather live in the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, but we're fucking complicit in crimes against humanity in Gaza. We have violence against our own people every day in the U.S., still segregation going on, disenfranchising people, mass shooters with racist ideologies. And you're going to lecture other people about civilization, a country that was built, now I'm talking about the U.S., but a country that was built on ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
And you're going to lecture, these immigrants about you need to have our values.
But that's the whole kind of paradox of the American.
No, it's a contradiction. And I think I see it in Europe too. The fucking, the French, the Muslims and coming out. There's been, I know about the terrorist acts, in 2016, the Bataclan, the drive-bys, the teacher who got beheaded after showing Muhammad in class,
Yeah.
But it's to paint all these people. The casual Islamophobia too, J.D. Vance, I think it was at the RNC. It doesn't really matter where it was, but he had a speech where he's like, "Yeah, we were worried about which, first Muslim country will have nukes. Iran, Pakistan. But now that Labour's winning in the UK, shit, it might be them."
Yeah.
Dude, what the fuck? Because think about all the assumptions that come with that.
Yeah.
So, okay, first you're going, Labour's going to be more friendly towards migration, which they are. Sunak and his fucking boats. If I was a Brit, I'd be pissed about how much money they spent on that shit.
Yeah.
But, let's say more Muslims come in, more Arab people. But, so they're all a hive mind. They all think the same. So they're all going to want Sharia law. Because that's how simple they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All these assumptions.
There's a lot of assumptions. Right.
It's...
Yeah.
And of course, putting besides the fact that I would say people from every culture generally, just want to get by.
Yeah.
It's bad, bro. It's really bad. And that shit, that's the vice president saying that. And bro, I saw that clip on Twitter. It wasn't edited. I watched the full thing. That shit's not even making news, bro. Mm-hmm. Even in the bias, because I would say CNBC, CNN are a little more liberally biased. Mm-hmm. I actually don't really pay attention to them, so maybe it was that. But New York Times, it's some people would say that's liberally biased. I didn't see it in there. Yeah. That's fucking blatant Islamophobia. Yeah. And then of course Trump is also about his Muslim. He wants to bring back the Muslim ban.
Oh, that's big. That's big. That's definitely there.
It's not even questioned, bro.
No, it's not even questioned.
Broadly.
Yeah. That's definitely there. But it's also, I'm not really sure, but statistically speaking, the US would be the country with lowest Muslim population right now.
As a percentage? Yeah.
It's just because they still border with a Muslim country.
What you have to, and I think a lot of people, maybe because they just want to believe these racist lies or they just don't do their own research, it's not about reality, bro. Mm-hmm. It's not, a lot of, especially if we're talking the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
Because all politicians lie, and there's another thing maybe I mentioned in class, but just I like this term of this post-truth populist. Yeah. Where it's because there's always been liar politicians, right? And this actually, I got it from Vlad Vexer, where he's a liar politician will lie to you about a certain issue or a certain set of issues, like a Nixon, about the war in Vietnam and trying to wiretap the DNC. But it's a post-truth politician operates where the line between truth and lies don't really matter. That's how one operates, in every given moment. And that's how Trump operates, I would say.
Yeah. It's actually very, of course, an interesting concept. Also something that Russian state promotes a lot. It's not there is no... But I'm curious to what extent there is real capacity of an average human to understand reality from post-reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who does know objective truth?
And where there is an objective truth. Because sometimes I feel especially nowadays, it's so hard. Nowadays you can literally dude, I wouldn't even question whether any written text is ChatGPT generated or not. I don't give a shit. I just assume it probably is. Who cares? It's already kind of all fabrication.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, but I still think you can tell the difference between like a Boris Johnson is another example he gave. Mm-hmm. A Boris, a Farage, a Trump.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. Do you think we should slide into it, or do you want to just keep flowing?
I'll just keep flowing, you know.
Okay.
You know. No, for me, it's interesting because, I mean, like the whole idea that there is a crisis of representative democracy, I mean, it's obviously not new. I remember it has been in the news since, I mean, at least early zeros. Like this idea, like you have people less participating, like people just less participate in politics. They less go to ballots. They say the same thing. Oh, you know, it doesn't really matter if we go or not. And like in many countries, you see this, right? In many countries, you see like a voter turnout of in like 40%. Like in the US, it used to be like 40%.
We're pretty low.
It's like imagine like half of the country is like, oh yeah, you have like the biggest elections in the country. I think I don't care. I like whatever. Like, you know, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, we're also good at making it harder for people to vote. Harder for people. It's on a national holiday, voter ID.
Yeah,
the disenfranchisement. But yeah, I mean, it's.
But I still would imagine a lot of people, just like regular people, even from like.
Yeah, who are not what I just said.
Yeah,
who don't care. Yeah, I have friends. I have friends, like, and especially like I'm more inclined to be around political people, obviously. But I have, you know, more than a few friends who like don't get, like I'm trying to get them to vote, and they're like, or like people who I do think will vote, but they really don't keep up at all.
Yeah,
you know, like, but yeah, like, especially it's unfortunate how a lot of people like in the ghettos of the U.S. tend to vote less.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's fucked. No, I'm really worried. I definitely am.
About the state of.
Yeah, the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's like it's something to worry about because I feel, dude, like whatever like people are saying, you know, I would definitely want to go on record saying it's better like for the U.S. to rule the world than any other country.
I think
like just because it's such a it's a system that has flaws. Yes, the country, like of course it's like, but like still there is something in the U.S. that is way much more appealing to a regular person.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, like, no, I've thought that to myself. For example, like, you know, with the Ukraine thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather us having our influence there than Russia. I mean, you might disagree, but, like, in the context of, like, this war, like, them being in NATO and everything, like, sometimes one empire is better than the other. I agree with that. Although, overall, like, that's something I would only say in, like, a very specific context. Because overall, like, with Israel...
No, I mean, dude, I would rather Russia be in the European Union. Like, and, like, Ukraine, too. Like,
yeah. But also, you know, as the most powerful, richest country in the world, we're also the leader of global capitalism and all the supply chains that come with this. And of course, your ideology comes into play now. But, you know, like the cobalt mining in the Congo is clearly exploitative.
Yeah.
And like we're complicit in that. Although actually I think the Chinese have the majority of the mines. But still, like there's a lot of ways we fuck over the world, and I wish we would step back. But for me, it just depends. Like, I'm pro-Ukraine support, fuck Israel support.
Yeah.
You know, for me, you know, I think some people kind of view it all black or white. Oh, let's just fuck everything else. Let's just look inward. Especially in the context of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Like, because, don't get sidetracked, like, putting morality aside, we failed. Like, putting aside morality, like, because Iraq, fuck Saddam, like, I don't like Saddam Hussein, but from my perception of the situation, Iraq is worse off now than before 2003. Now, it seems like a failed state.
Yeah.
And then Afghanistan, obviously the Taliban just came back in power.
Yeah.
Because they were in the late 90s and obviously they're back. So, like, we failed. So my point is, I think a lot of people, it's kind of almost like a childish thing where they're just like, they just want to pick up their ball and go home. They don't want to play no more.
Yeah.
Just like, fuck all. It's almost, they called it Vietnam syndrome after Vietnam.
I mean, also people call it like overstretching, like in a way they just cannot really keep up with their ambition or something like this. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of arrogance in that.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks like we do, and so on and so forth.
But I mean, obviously, a lot is at stake. It's definitely going to be very interesting to follow the elections.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be juicy as hell, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, there's supposed to be another debate, so assuming it's or whoever it is. I mean, I think it'll probably be Kamala, but like regardless, like, are they gonna show up to the second debate? I would fucking hope you better.
No, like, yeah.
I'm just putting. Like, to me, it's common sense, especially like stepping in last minute. It's like, all right, bro, show yourself. Like, what? Especially like if you're talking about Kamala, because she hasn't really had a big platform. Like, obviously, the vice presidency, it's always formally a ceremonial position, unless it's a tie in the Senate. Yeah. Then the vice president breaks the tiebreaker, so that it matters.
But
like generally, it's purely ceremonial, but still, like, your opportunity to speak and stuff. And I feel like they don't give her a whole lot of positions. When I see her, I feel like she's kind of just like towing the Biden line, which is, I guess. But like, I don't know. I'm curious to see if she's really gonna just keep the exact same agenda of Biden, or be, personally, my politics more progressive. Because she was the district attorney in San Francisco. She was in Cali, I think North Cali.
Yeah.
And people get on her because she was like convicting people for weed, which was like she was applying the laws. It was written, but it is kind of like fuck you, like fuck you. Like to me, she gives me like definitely like establishment, almost Hillary Clinton vibes.
Okay.
So like I don't like her particularly. Again, compared to Trump though, it's easy for me.
Yeah,
easy,
obviously,
easy. But that'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, because I hope she fucking shred him, bro. I don't know about you, but sometimes like I really think to myself, like, if I was in that debate, I'd fucking tear Trump's ass up.
Yeah,
I really think that to myself sometimes. But then, if I didn't get scared in the moment, overwhelmed with all the lights.
But then it comes to the point to what extent debate determines anything. Because there's so many people who you try to convince for the debate. It's already kind of like people who kind of like have affection for Trump, they're going to vote Trump.
And with the polarization, Lambert said that. He was like, historically, it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if he said historically or only now because of the polarization. But I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I think that was one of those situations where he was trying to cope a little bit. Because I understand he clearly he's kind of frustrated with the Biden cognitive decline. To me, that was pretty clear. Yeah. But he didn't really see it as big as a problem as others. Yeah. And I just told you to an extent I'd agree, but not the same way he does.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he said he should step down. But anyway, I think he's trying to cope because it's also like, well, just because it didn't matter in the past doesn't mean it can't matter now. Yeah. And also, I mean, hindsight 2020, but I think we can all say like the debate did matter this time around. No, because
it's better definitely for Biden. Like this, I mean,
because all this shit about it. Because I'd seen the memes forever and murmurs, but the fucking media coming out after the debate. Like it mattered this time. Him fucking up that badly. So I think it matters at least a little bit. But I get your point. But you really tear somebody's ass up because Trump, bro. I mean, it's easy to say that when you ain't on the stage, but I'm just like, motherfucker, you lying about this, and the third.
Yeah.
Like, am I great? Like what I just said to you, you could put that in like a 30-second. Real shit though, bro.
Yeah.
Like call it for what it is, but
yeah. So yeah, I mean. It's 3 months of very hard campaign. And I mean, everything can happen. But like for me, the most interesting thing, of course, the whole the election cycle. But it's also very interesting who wins the Senate, who wins the House. Definitely interesting whether if Trump can win with a full House and Senate. I doubt that.
What is it? Well, I think what I would read is that the Democrats, especially where they won't be able to take back the House, or they have the House.
They have the House, but they don't have the Senate. Yes,
or it's the opposite. They have the Senate.
No, they have like.
I think they have the Senate, but not the House, and they're worried that they can't take back the House, and maybe they'll lose the Senate because of Biden.
Okay.
I mean, let me double check.
Yeah,
we should fucking know that, but I'm pretty sure the Senate they have. Yeah, because Pelosi's the opposition. And she's the leader of the House, and then Chuck Schumer is the leader of the Senate.
Then they have the Senate,
yeah. So it's
also interesting. I mean, in this sense, but also interesting how they're going to accept like whoever loses is going to accept the loss. I mean, of course, I
think the Dems will accept it.
I mean, they will.
I think they'll be freaking the fuck out as they should, and I guess like they did after 2016. But I think they really, if they have any sort of savvy, which I mean, these are politicians. Like, I'd be freaking the fuck out because our democracy might be at stake. And of course, he's gonna try to fuck over the Dems. You're the opposition, you're the enemy. But in terms of like what Trump did or saying some story about it is illegitimate, I guess anything's on the table. But like, I'm not seeing that. The most I saw was like, and I even forget who was saying some rumors about like Trump's not really legitimate because Russia helped him win. And I think that's wrong because I think they did try to help him win. I think he took assistance from them. They did interfere, but I don't think that was the main reason they won. They won it all. But I think it's important to understand that because when you think about that, it has the important question. Why does Russia, who don't fuck with us, why did they want Trump? Yeah. Like, that's an important question to ponder. Yeah. Even if you like him, which, I mean, you kind of already lost me, but you get my point. You should be pondering, whether or not you like Trump, you should be contemplating that. But he was not the main reason. And politicians who say that, that's fucking dumb. You're blinding yourself from the full issue. It's like when fucking Iran, when these protesters come out and it's like foreign interference. or Putin, when it comes against the war, foreign interference. That's literally what it is on a much smaller scale. But going back to what I was saying, like, I heard some say that, but the party wasn't pushing that for real as a whole.
And Russia wants cows. I mean, I can tell you that.
What Russia what?
Wants cows in the US.
Oh, for sure. No.
And like eventually, like the dream of Russia is like the demise of the US. I mean, it doesn't really...
The democratic decline, and we'll take advantage. You don't really believe in democracy. Democracy is bullshit, yeah. But with the Democrat scheme of something, because that Russian interference shit, in terms of like saying he's not a valid president, I'm not seeing anybody with real power. I'm not seeing nobody saying that. And then what are they going to come up with? Like, unless like maybe they win the popular and the electoral comes again, but it's like, these are the rules. Like, you just want to change them now because, like, maybe you can say from here on out we want to change the electoral, like, really make it a priority. But then also, good luck with that while Trump's in office. No. Good luck getting 2/3 of states to agree. Yeah. So it's like, that's the thing. Fuck the electoral college. That was a way for those white landowners to keep their shit in power because it disproportionately gives power to less populated, more rural areas, which in the U.S. context is more white, more conservative.
So the hell of a year ahead of us. Like half of the year.
Yeah, bro. I mean, clearly he could win, and it is scary too because the Democrats really don't seem to have much of a vision for the future.
But then coming back to the point that if the U.S. moves towards direction that, I mean, just demographically is known why. It's not like Republicans have a chance with this platform. You know what I mean? It's like Republicans have no chance.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're trying to fight this. Yeah, this demographic time because it's interesting. Like,
so if the U.S. just like survives through 20s to 30s.
Yeah, the Republican Party will either have to significantly transform or it'll die out. Yeah, but then I agree with that. But then it's like, okay, well, if we're gonna dismantle democratic institutions, well then, problem solved.
Yeah, but then
that's what they're doing at the moment because you already have the electoral college. You have these things in place that give rural states more. Yeah. So like at the moment they're holding the line.
But you still have checks and balances. So I mean,
at the moment.
Yeah.
At the moment, no, I agree with the overall point. They are running a race because I mean there were some who kind of saw this coming, like George Bush Jr. He kind of like called it compassionate conservatism, not doing these open like racial ploys and so on. Mm-hmm. Substantially, I don't really think they were doing anything to really change like the racialized hierarchy of our country. But he also made it clear because he speaks Spanish. Yeah. So he's like, oh, I speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? But as time went on, he got caught up in the war. Yeah. That's okay. And then also Katrina. Because I don't know what you really know. Well, you know what Katrina is. Yeah. Yeah, but like, he flew in a helicopter over it. And then also, New Orleans is like really fucking black. Like, I think it's majority black. Yeah. And a lot of those people were like forced to stay there because they didn't maybe have the transportation to get out. Mm-hmm. And they were stuck there for like days and days. And the city was in chaos. And there was this perception. And I don't have a bunch of facts to give you, but I think it's true. Just my personal opinion. Like, it wasn't as much a priority to help these people out because it's a mostly black city. Yeah. Because I couldn't recite it all to you, but what is it? Not the EPA. That's an Environmental Association. FEMA. They're like our disaster agency. Like they fucked some shit up or I don't know. But like I just bring it up because like regardless of what you think actually went down, especially amongst minority voters, that was like, yeah, look at this motherfucker. You don't really give a fuck. That's what you seen Kanye West. You see that clip? George Bush don't care about black people. That was an ad for Hurricane Katrina aid.
Damn, that's crazy.
That was the context. So like to give you an idea like how people were feeling.
Yeah.
I mean Kanye's Kanye, but like that like that's some shit like I talk about like with my dad. Like, yeah, you know when he just flew in a helicopter over that bitch, and it was just like
that's crazy though.
What's new? So
yeah, damn, like the U.S. is a complicated country, man. Like,
yeah, bro, because it's like you have all these racial hierarchy and racist ploys, but it's like these people are part of the country. I mean, blacks, is what people come to mind because of variety of reasons. But whether you talk about the Native Americans, Hispanics, Asians, like all these different people who help create the country, who I would say are as American as anybody else. But the country can't fully accept itself for what it is. And one possible outcome is, self-destruction because it's not able to accept that. But it's fucked, bro. It's really fucked.
No, I mean, for me, it's still interesting because if you think through institutions' perspective, the U.S. institutions, they've been able to stand up like for many centuries already. In terms of perspective of like
it's the longest living constitution, right?
I mean, maybe the UK doesn't have a constitution, but it has like unwritten constitution. UK is probably older, but same time perspective, also the same type of institutions. Which
we got a lot of shit from the British, of course.
Yeah, which is interesting for me because I think the US definitely has a capacity to transform itself, and it showed times and times again in the past that it has the capacity to kind of like all institutions have the capacity to transform. They don't stay the same, and of course, also you can also say that like every empire has an end. I also think it's true, but I don't really see the end of the US now.
I mean,
it has a lot of power.
We're definitely less powerful relatively compared to, like, say, 1950. Just because, after the World War, Europe's a short, like, I can again come up with the numbers, but, like, our percentage of world trade and GDP, because now China's the biggest trade partner. Yeah. And then also you see we lose some wars, again, putting morality aside. But, this was, and maybe you won't like it because it was totally Marxist inspired statement. But I thought it was interesting because I never saw it specifically in this way, but he just mentioned like an offhand comment where he's like, I think the US is starting to see that it has a contradiction, a capitalist contradiction, in terms of, okay, you can be the superpower of the world, this capitalist world we live in, and have your strong or have your strong industrial base, but you can't have both.
Be superpower.
You be the leading superpower of the world, but also have a strong industrial base at this point in time. Yeah. Obviously, that was true. Obviously, but like again, depending on how much you buy this, capitalism as it goes on, late stage capitalism. I've never even read Marx. I've only seen excerpts and people citing in videos. But the point is because it's kind of like okay, these global capital of U.S. companies went abroad, took the jobs away, so.
Well, I mean, but I still feel the US generates kind of like the image for the future, and I cannot really, I cannot really express it maybe like succinctly and just like try to really pin down what I try to say. But like the US is still by far, like Chinese also people try to be Americans in a way. You know what I mean? The US projects the image of the world.
That's one of our biggest forms of soft power. Our culture, our ideals.
But it's also like the US is the only country that kind of like tries to envision the world because like what do you watch like Chinese series? Yeah. Does anyone watch Chinese series? Do you know Chinese stars? No one gives a shit about this country.
And they don't have many true friends.
No,
Russia's like dependent on becoming increasingly dependent. Yeah. Vietnam doesn't fuck with them. India doesn't fuck with them. Japan doesn't. South Korea. Oh, North Korea. Yeah. Nice. I mean, they have like strategic transactional relationships like in Africa, but true allies. Yeah, but I'm not like we're still the most powerful country in the world. For sure. But talking about a vision for the future, like I think the U.S. is in the best position to offer one. But right now, I don't think we do. and I don't see one anywhere else. I guess if you think liberal democracy or this neoliberal democracy that we're in is fine, okay, you don't need it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, okay, it's just not really working out. And obviously, like, fuck these far right fascist motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I'm not a communist. Not yet. I have some flirtations with socialism, like, but fuck what I personally think, like, on the high political level.
Yeah.
Because, Biden, it's like, okay, we're going to try to adjust climate change more.
Yeah.
And, like, try to reinvigorate the industrial base. But, like, this new vision for the future.
Yeah.
I don't, like a New Deal. Or, like, a war on poverty. Even if those things didn't do everything they said they were, like, they were visions for the future.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Reaganomics even was. That's that's what I hate.
Yeah.
But even like I would say, at least comparatively, the Republican Party is doing better, is they do have a vision for the future. I agree with what Lambert said when he's like, the strategy is not really clear, like the concrete strategy to achieve it.
Yeah.
I mean, at most you could say maybe erode the democratic institutions, but I don't think it's really there. But the vision where it's like, the corrupt elites have been fucking over real Americans, and we're going to get rid of them and make it great again before they all stepped in. It's a very simple vision, but I would say that's a vision.
Yeah.
Again, compared to what the Dems offer. Because like, for me, it's like, I do mostly vote. I'll vote for Biden because it's like, I just hate. I'm that much scared about Trump. It's not necessarily because I'm super excited. I mean, I was excited for certain things like student loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court struck that partially down.
Yeah.
I want more climate policy, but it's like, but even like fucking housing, bro. Build more houses. Build more houses. Or a world with more healthcare.
I mean, I feel far right kind of has a vision for the future, but I'm not really sure against like the vision for the world. You know what I mean? They have like this local understanding.
Well, it's very exclusive.
Exactly.
To say the least, bro.
Yeah. But like the US, I mean, for me, it still like embodies the vision for the future. And whatever you have to say, it's still the only country that generates this vision because no one else can. And of course, it has to do. I mean, it also has to do like with celebrities we follow, like with sports we follow.
The English language is more accessible, also, and that's another form of our soft power.
Yeah,
it's like the lingua franca.
No, I feel like it definitely would make an argument that like almost everyone in the world is kind of like a little bit American today. It's like whether you agree with it or not, but I feel like I feel myself a little bit American. Like like I definitely understand how it feels to be an American citizen. It's not like hard for me to understand.
Yeah, it's hard for me to understand, obviously, because like I am, but I see because our culture is just fucking everywhere, bro.
Exactly, yeah.
It's everywhere.
But also, it's not everywhere. It's like in everyone's mind, so to speak, right? It's like so widespread and so kind of pervasive. Like it's like. And it's hard, like, hey, like whenever people try to say, like people in Russia no to the US, but like the only thing they can do is just like have a copy of like American culture locally. You know what I mean? They just like, because there's no other vision for the future. I mean, eventually Russia is still a capitalist country. It's still a democracy. Like you're just trying to copy paste, like Yeah,
that's a shame. That's what I feel like some of y'all have done. And I mean, not Putin. The opposition.
There's no substantial. I mean, of course, maybe Iran is neither like democracy nor
Iran.
Yeah, but like, who wants to follow Iran's vision of the future, or like North Korea's vision for the future? I mean,
or China,
or even China's, right?
China, Russia, no, and then France, Germany, England. They're just trying to like hold on to what they have.
Yeah,
they're trying to like. Especially the UK, bro, is like in decline, bro. You see like the child poverty rate going up and shit. It's like they're really struggling. Especially if you don't live in London. But if you live in London, you need to make a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for them.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we
go into it. All right, where are we gonna?
Yeah. No, I think like UK. I mean, UK is a small country, man. Come on, it's not overall, it's not that big of a country.
Yeah, now that they aren't exploiting like other countries, it's a little different.
I mean, they still have like former colonies like Canada and stuff. It's just still kind of like officially. I still don't understand. It's like the whole concept of like officially they're part of the UK.
Yeah, the king is their monarch, dude. But this is like the other thing. It's like that's so normalized because it's the West.
Yeah.
But if it was fucking Africa,
yeah,
why do they do that? Oh, simple-minded. Like if there was like a Nigeria and like a king, like let's say like because I mean people just kind of shit on it now because of like their economic state, and you hear bad things in the media. But I'm just saying, like if an African state was rich but had that, like I feel like or anywhere, it's just like
yeah,
dude, that shit is. I find that shit so fucking outdated.
Yeah,
I think this shit's ridiculous. Fuck the queen.
Yeah, I mean, fuck the queen.
And they like, and you know, they'll be like, oh, you know, it's really nice that she wasn't political, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, well, maybe she should have lifted a finger when her country was like slaughtering Kenyans during the Mau Mau rebellion in the 50s. Because she was, I think, queen by then.
Yeah.
Because it was still a colony. And there was like a rebellion and they put it down brutally. It's like, oh, well, maybe you should have said something.
It's still weird, like you have to kneel down to like a queen when you become like a prime minister. Like what the hell?
They have all their tradition. I remember just
yeah. Anyway, it's weird, yeah. But I mean, it's still like a lot of at stake, right? As you said, in the US, and I mean, I still have a lot of hope, to be honest, and I would say hope and just belief in American institutions.
Yeah, for me, it's just kind of what else can you do, bro? Like besides have hope, like give in to despair. What?
But it's also interesting. Like I feel I'm not sure whether it's true or not, but like also in this semester, I've heard a lot of like kind of like in some courses, like some information was presented to me in a way that the US political system has always been that kind of crazy competitive environment. It has never been chill, so to speak. I mean, maybe now it's amplified with the media.
I would say that's true. Like, I mean, this is like a particularly like dramatic point, but like think about like in the lead up to the Civil War. So the Civil War like starts in 1860. I don't know the fucking name. Let's say it's the 1850s because there was like a 40, 50 year span where like this was like an issue. Because as we're expanding, it's like, is the new state going to be a slave state or a free state? Like that's like from basically as soon as they started expanding. So you have the Kansas-Nebraska Act. I forget the fucking other compromise. But anyway, the point. There was this guy, Charles Sumner, he's a senator, and I believe he was like from Massachusetts. He was definitely from the Northeast, but he was like very like fuck slavery, like even like a very progressive guy. Yeah. And he might have been a House member, whatever. He was part of Congress, a dude from the South, and he's like, because Sumner had like criticized the dude who was like a relative to him who was also in politics, or like, you know, a close whatever. He's like, yeah, you really disrespected him. He took out a cane and beat the shit out of him on the Senate floor. Yeah. Like so badly, like he could not be in the Senate for like months. Yeah. Like he almost killed him.
Yeah.
This is like how contentious are, and then it led to a fucking war. Yeah. But like, you know, and then even after the Civil War, the Freedmen's Bureau, and then the lynchings going on in the South. I mean, it's like, I guess it's like, you know, what do you mean exactly by crazy? But like, I don't know. Shit's always been going on. It's just you got the country expanding, and
that's what I mean. It's never like because people talk a lot about this idea. Oh, you know, at some point in the past, America was united. It has never been united.
Yeah, I would say maybe like this is the most dramatic maybe since like the 60s. Yeah. Like again, if we're just looking like drama, spectacle. Again, we're not even like how can you measure this? But like recession, yeah. I mean, Obama getting elected was crazy because like again, this is anecdotal, but like this is really how a lot of people think. Like I remember my dad telling me, and I remember when Obama got elected. I was 8, but like I remember telling me, he was like, "Yeah, I never thought this would happen. They would elect a black man," and it did. Obviously, wrong, but like to get an idea like how we feeling, like damn, like that shit really. So that was a big thing, but like consistent drama, because you know, like
it's also amplified. I feel like with social media and.
I think that maybe plays a role. People get in their thought bubbles, but like. It's maybe since the 60s, but it would say like a lot of it's been dramatic. But again, 60 years is a decent amount of time. In the grand scheme, not much, but again, pure drama, spectacle. Yeah, because there's a sense of civility that's definitely gone now. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the clips from when it was McCain, Obama. And McCain's having like an open town hall, so like the crowd, and he gives the mic to a woman, and she's like, first she's like, I don't like Obama because he's a Muslim, and he takes the mic. He's like, no. Obama, you know, like me and him, he's a decent man. We have significant differences on policy issues, but he's a decent man. And then he kept it moving. You would never see that. Yeah. Trump would probably be like, well, people, what is that for a question? Like, he wouldn't explicitly condone it, but he wouldn't check it. Yeah. He wouldn't tone it down. But like, wow, there was actually a situation very similar that happened. Like, literally very similar. Where someone I think might have said something about Obama, and that was his reaction. That's why I just mimicked that. But
yeah,
McCain at the time, it was like, fuck McCain. But now it's like, bro, for me as a progressive person, it's like, bro, wish you were around.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still have a sense of, maybe it's more like a belief and / hope expectation that it won't be that bad, even if Trump is elected.
I mean, for me too, like, because with the candidate changing, it made me make a pick. I think Kamala will
big
win.
Drama, yeah.
But also just in general, like, you got to keep pushing. But I mean, you also have to be a realist. But I don't know, like, for me, you know, it's definitely, you know, there's another thing I talk about with my dad is like, because, you know, shit's been bad. But like, you know, like when Trump got elected, like, I remember like watching on the TV, because I remember like, because, you know, like sometimes it goes late in the night because I had school the next day. Like, it wasn't like officially over, but it was like 99% over. So like I went to bed like, all right, he won. And I remember like, damn. Like, I was 6, I was like, damn. But all right, gotta keep moving, because it's like, well, he's not the first racist. He's particularly open about it. Yeah. In our current time, he's pretty. But like, bro, like, I mean, with the super predators in the 90s, fucking Reagan was racist as hell, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like as leaked recordings come out, you know, he was referring to like, I forget which African country. He's like, oh, look at these monkeys up here. Yeah. And also his policies, it was clear. Like, it ain't nothing new. And then if you really put in a context, like, bro, there was fucking Jim Crow. There was slaves. And of course, I haven't experienced that personally, but like, in the bloodline, like, I have ancestors who were slaves. Yeah. You know, so it's like, all right, you know, we pushed through that.
Yeah.
All right, we just got to keep it moving. You know, I think it's like a nuance, because you don't want to get to the point where it's like, okay, well, everything's going to be fine, whatever. But like, in terms of
also like a competition, right? It's also almost like you compete for the future in your own country. I mean, that.
Yeah. But it's like, my point is just like, you know, you don't want to give in to despair. Like, like that's what it's like. If you're not rich and white, I would say, like, this is what it's. Because, you know, I grew up pretty privileged. Like, my dad makes a good amount of money. Yeah. Like 6 figures roughly. So, like, I grew up, like, in a suburbs, like, gated community. My parents got divorced. My mom didn't have much money. Yeah. But it wasn't poverty. And also, it's different, you know, like, you live with a parent for, like, 3 or 4 days and then go back. Yeah. To, like, a nice... So, like, but, you know, you still had, like, plenty of racist shit happen. Yeah. You know, actually, even more so, because I grew up in a mostly white area.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
mean, the progress has been still there, so, you know.
Yeah, some ways, but, you know, we also progressed in some ways.
Yeah.
With abortion rights, with the Voting Rights Act getting dismantled. Like, it's, like, things to me, like, they don't inevitably just progress because time goes forward. You have to fight for it.
Yeah.
So, like, Trump getting elected was a step backwards, but him getting reelected would be a significant step backward.
Especially in this election, yeah.
So, like, you just gotta fight for it. So,
but with Biden stepping down, I guess I think Democrats definitely have always had the chance to win this election. It's just like the Biden thing was obviously too bad for, like, everyone realized it. It's like, it's not gonna work.
He became an electoral liability.
Yeah, I mean, he became a liability.
Even if you're someone who's like, it's not that bad, his mental.
No, it is.
But no, I'm saying, like, even if you are, like, that's pretty much what Lambert said. He's like, basically that's how I interpret what he said, that he doesn't really think it's that significant, but the perception is so real amongst not just the general public but the party that he needs to step down.
Yeah.
Because that's what he said, he cannot be a good candidate. So it's like, that's where that shit was at.
Yeah.
That's where that shit was at. So like...
So, yeah, I guess let's see how it goes, and we're happy to discuss with you the further developments.
Yeah, because it's going to be a lot of juice.
A lot of juice. And I mean, still, I for me, it still depicts American spirit, you know? Yeah, I'd rather have a super competitive election in the country that tries to rule the world than have no election at all. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. This says a lot about the accountability. Yeah. See if Kamala's gonna step up to the plate, because oh, she tears Trump's ass up.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I hope so. Yeah.
It's fucked.
Yeah. Okay.
Contemplating the future.
I mean, that's one of the most interesting times. I mean, we didn't even discuss the whole thing with Trump and Ukraine. I think we can leave it for later. You know?
Yeah, because he's also not like super clear, but I think you can at least assume that it'll be like...
No, my prediction, nothing. I mean, my prediction, he probably will not decrease, but he kind of like keep the same flow of money to Ukraine and not going to change anything. So he won't have like a grandiose rhetoric.
So you think he's going to moderate? You think
he's going to keep to the status quo? Because I feel like Trump is not the person who can really have a unilateral decision either to withdraw support for Ukraine or not. It's more like a party decision. There are like a lot of interest. There's a lot of arms sales.
But I mean, if he really wants to, because if they still have the House, so it's like all these things that it's contingent on. But let's say like they have the House, because the House creates laws. So like if he's really like fuck this Ukraine shit, he could stop it. Because like at least the way I was perceiving it, and I saw Zelensky talk about it, because he seemed to perceive it the way it's like he was speaking English, but he's kind of like, you know, what I'm assuming, I'm paraphrasing, but like it's gonna be okay, give up some land, and like we'll have to give up some land and push us to the table.
Yeah.
And it's like I think that's what it's gonna be, because he's criticized a lot, and then Vance is like totally fuck Ukraine.
Oh yeah,
and
Vance,
then the party, like higher leadership in the party is still pro Ukraine support. So like a McConnell, a Graham, but those are senators.
Yeah, I mean...
So, like, if Trump... Like, what I'm saying is if Trump really wants it to end, I think he could... What will he do? That is the question. Because Trump can be hard to predict. What will he do? I hope he moderates. I think he'll end up, like, pushing Ukraine to make a deal, like, give up some land, sign some treaty, hopefully get into NATO, because at least they get into NATO, I mean...
He probably... I can see him meeting Putin, like, one-on-one, probably... Can try to meet Putin, Zelensky, him. I don't know whether it's gonna work or not, but
it's the thing too. Like,
but my general feeling that it's gonna be like the whole thing is going to move into frozen conflict if Trump wins. Maybe with some official ceasefire, maybe not, but nothing gonna really change. Like this is
frozen conflict, but with Russia having more land, because that's what you had since 2014, basically.
Yeah.
In the like far east.
Yeah.
Of Ukraine. So, I mean, I guess if we get into NATO, I mean, that's like, when will that happen?
Yeah. And then if it's frozen conflict, yeah, that's...
Because I already think I told you, like, I think to him it's just a break.
Yeah.
Towards going back at it again.
It can be, yeah. It can be.
Just keep trying. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, man. It was a pleasure having you.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. And see you next time.
Yeah, appreciate it. We were